Did Daniel Green just catch Audible red-handed? A recent discovery in KDP's fine print raises big questions about how AI-narrated audiobooks are being handled, and you'll want to hear this. Plus, a beloved audiobook brand is back with a fresh identity, and BookLinker has a free resource that could instantly boost your book sales. All that and more in the self-publishing news for August the 26th of 2025. Before we jump on into things, this week's sponsor is the final 3 Kickstarter campaigns celebrating the last 3 books in the Self-Publishing with Dale series. These books are being completely redone for the original Amazon self-publisher trilogy that I published 5 years ago. Now, every section has been updated, expanded, and rebuilt to reflect today's publishing landscape. Whether you're new to indie publishing or ready to scale, these books cover the exact systems and strategies I've used to help thousands of authors grow their businesses. The Kickstarter launches September 30th, and I'm aiming for 1,000 campaign followers before that date. Following costs nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. And it guarantees you'll be the first to see the launch bonuses like a limited edition hardcover box set with full gold foiling, sprayed edges, bonus chapters, and access to group coaching for the first time in years. There's even a tier for one-on-one coaching. Now, if my content has helped you or you just want to support the mission of empowering indie authors, head over to dalelinks.com/Kickstarter and follow the campaign. Let's go ahead and jump into the first big piece of news coming from Daniel Green. And in a recent video, Daniel Green uncovered new details about how Amazon's virtual voice tool made available through KDP might impact the audiobook landscape. Now, this tool available through KDP lets authors create an audiobook using synthetic narration and publish it directly to Audible. Now, that alone isn't shocking. I've covered it before, but there's a major catch. If your ebook is enrolled in KDP Select, the AI-generated audiobook becomes eligible for Audible Plus and the KDP Select Global Fund. Okay, here we go. Wait a second here. That means these audiobooks enter the streaming pool and share royalties with the other titles in the catalog, including those narrated by professional voiceover talent and have been used to purchase with credits. All right. Now, while some authors and listeners welcome synthetic narration, that's not the argument here. Others worry this could crowd the pool and dilute earnings for human narrated productions or people that are very serious about their publications through Audible. Now, Audible had previously indicated they would avoid flooding the market. However, current KDP documentation confirms that titles made with virtual voice and enrolled in Select are automatically included in Audible Plus. This obviously has raised concerns in the author and narrator communities. If you want Audible to revisit its approach and ensure fair compensation across the board, I mentioned this the last couple of weeks, there's a petition you can sign. As of now, there's over 19,000, and that is phenomenal. Let's help that number grow. Visit the link inside the show notes as per usual to change.org. It's a very good cause. Don't just lie down and say, oh, you know what, it is what it is. We got to work together on this one here, folks. Moving a little further forward, speaking of audiobooks, Jane Friedman just shared big news in her latest Hot Sheet newsletter that every audiobook author should hear. Voices by InAudio is the new name for Findaway Voices, and it is officially back under independent leadership. Now, if you're not familiar, this platform helps indie authors distribute audiobooks to dozens of retailers like Apple, Google, Kobo, Chirp, library systems, and more. Now, if you've been following this channel, you know I've been watching this story closely since Spotify bought Findaway in 2022. Ever since that acquisition, I felt the platform drifted away from what made it great. Now, with the original founders back in charge, it finally feels like the old Findaway again. I've already explored the new Voices by InAudio dashboard, and it's basically the same as the old one, just with a new color scheme. What gets me most excited is that they plan to bring back tools Spotify removed, including direct sales, giveaway codes, and possibly even a narrator marketplace. Now, for wide audiobook distribution, this could be a game changer. You could still set up direct accounts with Audible and Spotify while using InAudio for the rest. They take 20% of net royalties after the retailer's cut. So on a $20 sale, if the retailer pays out $10, you keep $8. Anyone who has or was with Findaway Voices has already been carried over, and the audiobooks lived before August 1st have also been issued a Spotify for Authors account. Now, this is great news for indies who were reluctant to work with Spotify but are now reconsidering in light of Audible's latest changes. As per usual, thoroughly review each platform's terms of service. It's so important that we just don't go, okay, that's fine, because we've learned in the past that can really, really burn you. So moving a little further forward, we're still talking about audiobooks. Why not talk about the competitors here? Fast Company on Spotify. Here we go. So this comes from Fast Company. Zachary Petit just covered Spotify's newest audiobook feature called Follow Along. Now, it's a hybrid listening experience that combines narration with images, music, and on-screen visuals, offering a richer, more dynamic alternative to the usual audio-only format. Now, right now, it's limited to select titles, obviously, but Spotify has already created more than 100 custom assets for that book alone, including diagrams, chat logs, and conceptual art tied to the story. Now, I'll be honest, I'm happy to see Spotify pushing the boundaries of audiobook presentation. Features like this could be game-changing for nonfiction, cookbooks, or visually driven stories. But I still don't fully trust Spotify. They've shown flashes of innovation, but nothing that truly challenges Audible's grip on the market. That's really what's going to make the difference. All right, moving a little further forward, you thought I was done talking about audiobooks? Come on, no way. Spoken's public launch and why it matters. I've talked about Spoken before. I even interviewed the fine folks over at Spoken here on this podcast. They have officially launched. After a full year in open beta, the AI audiobook platform is now available to all authors. Founder Phil Marshall announced version 1 is live, featuring improved narration tools, smarter story and character analysis, and major back-end upgrades designed for scale. Now, to celebrate the launch, they're giving all users, new and existing ones, 5,000 words of free narration. Pricing's based on word count, by the way, with no required subscription unless you want one. And the platform was built from the ground up with authors in mind. It's built by authors, by the way. Now, I've followed Spoken since the early days, and it's great to see them step into this next chapter. With a team made up of storytellers who listen to author feedback, I trust they'll keep refining the experience while staying focused on helping us bring stories to life. So big kudos and a big congratulations to the fine folks over at Spoken.press. All right, let's move a little further forward for the grim news here, coming from the fine folks over at Writer Beware. Victoria Strauss just published a detailed expose titled Author Complains Conflicts of Interest at Fortis Publishing. Now, if you're in audiobook or print publishing, this is one you don't want to miss. Strauss outlines a long list of complaints from authors working with UK-based Fortis Publishing. That includes delayed royalties, missing sales reports, poor formatting, fictitious staff using stock photos. Yeah, they're pulling stock photos like no one can go and reverse image search, and contracts that barely meet the minimum standard. Now, what makes this different is the depth of deception. Fortis co-founder Ken Scott allegedly operated under two names, used a fake team, and funneled clients from his ghostwriting and literary agency services directly into publishing contracts with Fortis. Now, multiple authors say they didn't realize Scott was the same person listed twice in their communication chain. And just when you think the rabbit hole ends, Fortis appears tied to another publishing brand, NSB Publishing Corp., which also used stock photos for their staff and mirrored Fortis's marketing language almost like word for word. Now, Fortis claims it plans to become a nonprofit in the future, but their 2024 financial report showed less than £600 in total assets and only one permanent employee. This is the kind of situation that reminds us why clear ethical lines matter in publishing. If a ghostwriter, agent, and a publisher are all the same person and the staff don't even exist, that's not a business model. It's a red flag. You gotta watch out for these things here, folks. All right, moving a little further forward, I have some news here from Dan Holloway at the Self-Publishing with Ally podcast. In this recent episode, Dan had shared that two major stories. Now, the one that took center stage, let's just focus on that one. It's very critical for indie authors to understand. Now, first up, the return of AI-generated books clogging up Amazon search results. Now, Holloway spotlighted the release of You'll Like It When You Get There. It's a real memoir by comedian Rhys James, which has been swarmed by fake AI-generated knockoffs pretending to be the same book. Now, these kinds of listings confuse readers and erode trust, and while Amazon continues to say they're addressing the issue, little has improved. Now, as Dan notes, when readers can't trust the products they find on Amazon, it hurts everyone, especially indie authors whose income often relies heavily on that platform. Now, you can catch Dan's full breakdown about that and more on the news segment for the Self-Publishing with Ally podcast. Link inside the show notes as per usual. Got some great news rolling out from the fine folks over at Smashwords, or otherwise known as Drafted Digital, who actually runs Smashwords. This was really cool news, and I've shared so much about these promotions in the past. They just wrapped up the 2025 Smashwords Summer Winter Sale, and the results shattered previous records. According to their July Indie Advantage newsletter, overall sales for the month-long event rose 35%. Now, it compared that to last year. Even more impressive, first-time buyers jumped by 60%, and those new customers spent nearly 3 times more than first-time buyers in the 2024 sale. Smashwords attributes this surge to indie authors who consistently promoted the sale and encouraged readers to discover new books across the platform. Their July sale also logged the highest single-day sales total for any July event in the company history and the second highest sales day ever recorded in the platform's 17 years. Now, I've personally seen strong results in the past Smashwords promotions, so I was disappointed to miss this one due to timing. It wasn't their fault, it was mine. It wasn't the right time. But I'm glad to see so many indie authors reporting big wins, and I'll definitely be looking out for the Smashwords end of year sale when it goes live mid-December. But trust me, it's on my calendar now. We're not going to miss out on it. Who knows what it's going to look like going into Q4, because obviously a lot of people are going to be buying some gifts, and maybe they'll be wanting to buy some gifts through Smashwords. All right, coming from the folks over at Apple Books for Authors, there's some tax changes coming to Brazil and Romania. If you publish directly through Apple Books for Authors, take note. As of August 21st, Apple has updated how taxes are handled for book sales in Brazil and Romania. A 3.5% financial operations tax now applies in Brazil, and Romania's VAT has increased from 5% to 11%. Now, for those of you that are not familiar, VAT is value-added taxed. Now, your royalties and Apple's commission will be calculated after these taxes are deducted, which means your earnings may change. Reader-facing prices won't change, but you can adjust pricing in iTunes Connect if needed. If you use aggregate publishers like, say, Drafted Digital or Publish Drive to distribute to Apple Books, don't worry about it. Those tax adjustments are handled between Apple and the aggregate publisher. You don't have to sweat a thing. This is just for direct publishing only. I always had to kind of say that because there's often times where some people are like, oh no, I published to Apple Books, but if you're not going direct, it's just not applicable to you. Now, here's some really interesting news. This one's coming again from Self-Publishing with Ally podcast. Now, if your book launch gets a quick spike and then fades into nothing, well, you're not alone. In the latest Self-Publishing with Ally podcast, Joe Solari shares why this happens, how Amazon's recommendation engine really works, and how that works. So one major takeaway, this one is a really good one. Amazon uses a 180-day weighted moving average to evaluate your book's performance. That means slow, steady sales matter more than one-day surges. Now, another surprising detail, Amazon tracks how many people actually read your book, not just how many buy it. So if readers grab your title on discount and never open it, that can hurt your long-term visibility. Now, that was kind of surprising. I didn't think that would play a part, but here we are. Now, Joe explains how to build lasting momentum with the algorithm by focusing on reader engagement and steady consumption. This is a must listen for any author who wants to create sustainable sales. Joe is also the founder, by the way, of Author Nation. That's the premier indie author conference held in Vegas. Side note, I'll be speaking at Author Nation this November in Las Vegas, Nevada. Visit my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/AuthorNation to grab your ticket right away or get some details. Of course, I'd love to see you there. This is the last call for for the ProWritingAid Storytellers Sale. It's ending on August the 28th. If you've been thinking about trying ProWritingAid, this is your last chance to grab the Storytellers Sale. It ends August 28th and gives you 25% off yearly plans and credits for tools like the manuscript analysis tool or report and the virtual beta reader report. Both of them are fantastic, by the way. I use ProWritingAid across all my work, from books to video scripts to blog posts. It's a powerful author toolkit that helps with everything from clarity to structure and pacing. If you've been waiting, now's the time to lock in that discount. Grab the deal at dalelinks.com/ProWritingAid before it's gone. Moving a little further forward here from the fine folks over at Dibbly, aka the Urban Writers, one of my longtime partners, Dibbly, is running a summer sale across all their services, from ghostwriting to editing to cover design and more. You'll get 12% off your next order when you use the code SUMMERSALE12. Yes, you want to make sure it's all caps, by the way. You got to shout it at them, otherwise it won't work. So SUMMERSALE12, all one word, 1, 2, in the 12. So just head over to dalelinks.com/Dibbly to browse their services. This deal runs until September 8th, so don't wait too long. And speaking of great deals, this one's a killer one. I've mentioned this one before, but I figured it's getting towards the end of the month. I'll give you another reminder. I've talked about them before, but it's worth bringing up again. GetAuthenticBookReviews.com is running a $1 sale for all of August 2025. If you've never used them before, they're a review platform that connects your book with real readers. Now, I've gotten dozens of reviews through their system, and it's been one of the most effective tools in my arsenal. This limited time deal lets you test it out for just $1. Don't miss it. This is your chance to get more reviews without breaking the bank and staying compliant. Yes, staying compliant with Amazon community guidelines. Moving a little further forward here, the fine folks over at BookLinker. If you've ever wondered whether your book description is helping or hurting your sales, Carrie Flanagan from BookLinker has you covered. She's hosting a free webinar on Saturday, August 30th at 12 p.m. Eastern Daytime called Fix Your Book Description in 4 Steps. Carrie's a seasoned author with over 25 books and 25 years in the publishing industry. She's been around the block. A good friend of mine. She's also been here on this podcast before. Now, in this webinar, it's a free webinar, by the way, she'll walk you through the 4 essential elements every book description needs to turn browsers into buyers. You'll also learn how to structure your blurb for max impact, how to use keywords naturally, and how to close strong with a call to action. I always say the call to action. Got to get that in there. There's also a live Q&A at the end, of course, so come ready with your questions. You can register now at the link inside the show notes as per usual. And as we start to wrap things up here on the Self-Publishing with Dale podcast, the Self-Publishing with Dale series is wrapping up as well with 3 fully updated books. The Kickstarter launches September 30th, and I'm aiming for 1,000 followers before we go live. Want early access to launch bonuses and special editions? Follow now at dalelinks.com/Kickstarter. Thanks so much for your support. It'd mean the world to me if you'd share it with somebody who would like it too. What did you think about some of the items we covered in the news today? Did I miss anything? Let me know in my Discord community at dalelinks.com/Discord. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll see you next week. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Special shout out to my channel members for both the podcast channel and the main channel. Without your support, some projects we do at Self-Publishing with Dale would be much harder to fund. If you want to contribute to the cause, visit dalelinks.com/memberships for details and get your on-screen shout out at the end of each broadcast. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll see you soon.